Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to recognize the presence of the Honourable Shawn K, the Deputy Prime Minister for the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis, as well as the Minister with the responsibility for culture, under which our National Carnival falls. Also, I recognize Mr. Troy Mills, who is the Director of Culture. Another member of the standing panel here today is Mr. Winston Zack Nisbett, who has been a tremendous stalwart in the nurturing of culture for many, many years. Next to the minister, we have Miss Janet Johnson, who has not only contributed as a participant, but as a coach, a chaperone, a consultant as it relates to pageantry and similar competitions. Today we are here at the minister's office to pay homage and recognize in a small way the contributions of both individuals, Miss Janet Johnson and Mr. Winston Zack Nisbett. I will take this opportunity just to regale you for a moment with some of her accomplishments, and then I will turn it over to Mr. Troy Mills, who will do likewise for Mr. Winston Zack Nisbett. Now, I have known Janet Johnson for quite some time. Actually, upon my return to the Federation in about 2002, as part of the executive team for the Easterama Committee in Sandy Point, that's where I first got an opportunity to meet her, where she would have participated in a Queen of Queen pageant down there, and she actually won that pageant. So immediately we realized that not only did she have talent as a contestant, but she had vision to help develop in pageantry across St. Kitts and Nevis. As I perused her resume, I realized that she has many, many accomplishments with respect to swimsuit contestants, national queen contestants, talented teen, and the GQ competition, not only in St. Kitts but also in Nevis. And what stood out for me in particular last year was the fact that, to my recollection, and I stand corrected if someone can provide the empirical evidence, she was the first consultant / chaperone / coach to simultaneously chaperone 4 different individuals. Namely, she had a contestant for the National Queen Show, she had one for the Mr. GQ, the Talented Teen, and also the National Swimsuit. So that was the first signal that she was actually doing a tremendous job as it relates to contributing to Carnival. Delving a little bit deeper into her resume, you would realize that for the past 3 successive years, she has been the chaperone of the National Queen. If we were to look back to Sugar Mass 45, we would realize that, if the information serves me correctly, she's the only chaperone who has had the opportunity and chose to accept the responsibility of managing, coaching, chaperoning 4 different contestants / competitors, in the likes of a contestant for the National Queen Show, the Miss National Swimsuit pageant, the Talented Teen National pageant, as well as Mr. GQ. I might also add here that for the last 3 successive years, she has also chaperoned the National Queen pageant winner. And that shows that it must take some sort of experience, some sort of knowledge, and some sort of sacrifice each and every year. And Miss Johnson has shown us no indication that she desires to stop. Her regional presence, she would have done work for and represented us as an ambassador in St. Vincent for the Miss Carnival as well as the JCs last year. She would have also done work in Nevis across the show, and it has been a pleasure for the National Carnival Committee to work with her in developing and showcasing the skills of our national competitors. At this point, I'll now turn it over to Mr. Troy Mills, who will give us a brief synopsis of the contributions from Mr. Winston Zack Nisbett.
Noah Mills, Chairman of the National Carnival Committee, the Honourable Shawn Richards, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Culture et al., Mr. Ladies First, Miss Janet Johnson and Mr. Zack Nisbett, recipients this afternoon. It is indeed an honor for the Department of Culture to be associated with this small but very significant ceremony. Ever since I've been a small boy, I kept hearing about the name Zack Nisbett, Winston Zack Nisbett, and as I grew older, I could understand why he was actually given the name the Doctor of Culture, because he has been very instrumental in our culture. He has operated a museum for many years, and he's still continuing to do so, where a lot of students have gone, particularly to get information about the SBAs and cultural icons here in the Federation and the historical information about St. Kitts Nevis and the Caribbean by extension. Zack is the foremost authority on the making of the whips that are used in the clowns, etc., particularly known as the hunters as we know them. At Christmas time, he's very busy making them, and his orders are coming not only locally but from the international market. When it comes to the clowns and the making of the masks, again, you need them done, Mr. Nisbett is the man you will call to. The Department of Culture embarked upon a program last Carnival, Sugar Mass 45, a pilot project, and the intention was to identify some primary schools and have them involved in Children Carnival from a folklore point of view. We didn't have much time. We met who was the person who could make this happen, and it was unanimous that Mr. Winston Zack Nisbett was the man. When we approached him, he was very elated, and as a result, we were able to have the Mokajumbi's troop coming out of the Sandy Point Primary and the SEMS Charles E. Mills Secondary High School. We were able to have the Keon Primary School produce a bull troop, as well as the Violet Petty producing a mummy's troop for the Children Carnival, as well as the Grand Parade. And it's things like these that would have made it very easy to have a ceremony like this, of which we want to really congratulate Zack, and we can count on him, and we know we will count on him for many, many more years to come.
No doubt, I can venture to say that when these individuals perform and present their responsibilities, duties and services, they are oftentimes contractually engaged. However, the Carnival Committee and the Minister, we both would have agreed that what we're here giving today is a token beyond that. So separate and apart from whatever they would have gained from offering their services, it's not as if they would have been engaged by us. We saw the significance, we saw the hard work, and as Mr. Mills said, I was one on the streets that day, and I would have seen all of the primary and secondary combined troops add flavor, color, and excitement to the overall parade experience, and that could not have been possible unless Mr. Nisbett had come forward and decided to be a part of the project. Likewise, each time Miss Johnson puts her creative cap on, she needs to think about the many pageants and competitions, not only in St. Kitts but in Nevis, but regionally as well, and to draw each and every time from that talent which seems to be innate in Miss Johnson, we saw the need to give her something extra as well. I will now turn it over to the Honourable Minister, Honourable Richards, to make those presentations and say a few words of appreciation for the services that they continually provide to us.
Director of Culture, Mr. Troy Biff Mills, Chairman of Carnival, Mr. Noah Mills, our two persons being recognized, Mr. Winston Zack Nisbett and Miss Janet Johnson, members of the media, good day to all. This afternoon I am happy to be associated with this brief but as said significant handing over the ceremony to recognize two individuals who continue to give of their time, their knowledge and of their resources towards the continued development of Carnival. However, I think that what they have been doing goes beyond Carnival. It is about the preservation, it is about sustaining, it is about maintaining our culture here in St. Kitts and Nevis. It was only last week that I actually was at the opening ceremony for History and Heritage Month and made the point that our history, our heritage can only be maintained, it can only be sustained and further developed if all of us do make that concerted effort to contribute towards it. These are two individuals who you have heard over the years continue to ensure that our own heritage here in St. Kitts and Nevis continues. Zack, as we know him, has often been referred to as the Doctor of Culture. He has gone so far as to open his own museum where persons, not just students, but any individual can go to get information about the certain aspects of our culture here in St. Kitts and Nevis, especially about our folklore troops, etc. And for that, indeed, he must be commended. I know that every Easter he also organizes an aquatic sports festival down at the ferry terminal. It is something which is looked forward to by quite a number of persons, and when you look at that festival, it is even different to the normal folklore troupe. So as I said, this is a gentleman who has quite a bit of knowledge of the heritage of the culture here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and he is doing his own part to ensure that it is passed on to future generations. In the case of Miss Johnson, of course, to chaperone any contestant, you have to be knowledgeable in various fields of our own culture and heritage. In many of the shows, the contestants would be asked to do a performing talent. In some cases, they have to come up with a costume. In some cases, they have to give a speech about some aspect of life here in St. Kitts and Nevis. By looking at all of that, you of course see how the culture of St. Kitts and Nevis is exposed and how it comes to light, so that other persons in the listening audience can get an appreciation for it and also learn from it. So while it is that the two individuals are engaged in different forms, I do believe that they have done quite a lot in terms of the history, the heritage, and passing that information along to persons here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Carnival, as I've said to persons, can only be successful with all of the different stakeholders coming together, and they all play an important role. Be it the sponsors, be it the participants, be it the chaperones, be it the members of the Carnival Committee, be it the public which either comes out and support the different shows or participate in the different shows. To Miss Johnson and Mr. Nisbett, on behalf of the government, on behalf of the Department of Culture, and certainly on behalf of the Carnival Committee, I say thank you for all the work that you have been doing, and we do hope that this partnership will continue for many, many more years. As such, I take the opportunity now to hand over first of all to Miss Johnson this token of our appreciation, which is a check in the amount of $1,000. And similarly to Mr. Nisbett, a check in the equal amount of $1,000.
As Mr. Mills said, that's Noah Mills said, I've been doing this for over 15 years now, and by doing this for such a long time, it's obvious that I enjoy what I do. For me, it's not about the crown, it's about personal growth and development for all of my contestants, whether female or male. And definitely this year, I'll be back at it again. Thank you.
It gives me great pleasure and gives me the impetus to be here today to thank these gentlemen and to thank St. Kitts in general for the contribution which I have bestowed upon them for over 50 years. This gives me the chance to give me a little more what you call faith and to demonstrate my skills from this little presentation here this afternoon. Our culture needs to be perpetuated, and as long as God gives me health and strength, I am going to make it abundantly clear that culture will never die in St. Kitts Nevis, and I am going to give my all to this. I want to thank Mr. Troy Mills for giving me the opportunity to participate in the Children Carnival this year. And with the short time we got the last week of school, I think I want to thank him for the contribution he made, which was very good. I did appreciate it, and I just want to recognize the Cultural Department and Carnival Committee. And this year, you are going to see me like you have never seen before. I am going to put my best foot forward for the sake of the country, not for myself, for the sake of this country, to make things better and to revive all those cultural activities, or most of them, that were left to be neglected. I just hope that with the inspiration, the motivation, the dedication and the application, it will happen. Once again, I want to thank all those persons who have contributed to my sustenance. And I'm just wanting to say that I will be doing my best. Thank you very much on behalf of the good Lord. Thank you once again.
Mr. Nisbett, I know you said you will be reviving some. When I was growing up, I heard of cowboys and Indians and nigger business and all sort of things. I'm not old enough to have seen them, so I would anticipate that you're going to be working with the Ministry of Culture to get some of those back. I would urge both of you, both entities, to work a little bit earlier this year to make sure we start preparing. And let me charge Miss Johnson. We have already sat down and actually come up with a calendar for Sugar Mass 46, of which our Prince and Princess Talented Youth competition is being added. So I assume this time it's not going to be 4, but maybe 6, because remember it's a boy and a girl, so you'll be taking it up to 6 persons, so you'll be chaperoning and coaching this year. So additionally, I thank the media. You've always been with us, SKNIS, Chukapo Entertainment, as well as Mystique Photos. It is always a pleasure, as the minister said, to have partners who understand the vision that we are pursuing and who are more willingly than often, each and every time, I must say, journey with us as we try to achieve that mission. Thank you.